Mr. Barnes, you go first. What do you find admirable about your opponent?
Well, no, seriously. I do think, the senator is proven to be a family man, and I think that's admirable.
Mr. Johnson.
I mean, likewise, I appreciate the fact that Lieutenant Governor Barnes had loving parents, a school teacher, father that worked third shift, so he had, good upbringing. I guess what puzzles me about that is with that upbringing, why is he turned against America? I mean, why does he find the founding of America awful? It's
somehow
it puzzles me.
Did not.
We said something admirable.
Acknowledging that question is a little bit annoying. They always do it. It's a little bit annoying. We know these people disagree with each other and despise each other. That said, it is sort of the last remaining minimal bar for a little bit of civility in politics, and Mandela Barnes did a great job. I mean, to be fair, Mandela Barnes gave the answer that everyone does. It's always, well, he seems to like his family, I guess. That's like the easiest thing to say, but he said it and he didn't undercut it afterward. Ron Johnson couldn't even pass that bar that is so low, it's buried in Earth's core. He immediately had to turn on Mandela Barnes. And what I like is that the audience wasn't having it. They were booing him, they were laughing. Nobody seemed to like it, Ben. But what do you think?
Yeah, Ron Johnson is just an unmitigated piece of garbage. The man is a horrible racist, misogynist. He's against every bit of human rights that we thought was long settled in this country. He's a hypocrite. He contradicts himself constantly. This is one of his more noble moments, which was taking the one noble moment and turning it into a personal attack. At least that personal attack was direct. At least it didn't probably not gonna have something coming out later. He actually meant a different personal attack. This is one of the most straight up things Ron Johnson's done, and I commend him strongly for it.
Exactly, total and utter garbage. But while he was mocked there by the crowd, laughed at, it wasn't the only time that he was laughed at or jeered. He weirdly decided to step in, as you'll see in this clip.
In response to the wild charge of Lieutenant Governor Barnes, the FBI set me up with a corrupt briefing and then leaked that to smear me. I am. No, I mean,
I'm sorry.
With the Ron Johnson. So what is he referring to there? It's gonna be very abundantly clear to most right wingers because they're part of that right wing insane cinematic universe or whatever. But what he appears to be referring to and then declares that they're the corrupt ones is that Johnson was informed at an FBI briefing back in 2020 that he was the target of Russian disinformation as part of a campaign to make him useful to the Kremlin. Understand, it was not the FBI attacking him, implying anything about him. They were saying, oh, by the way, we have reason to believe that they're targeting you. It's like if you were to warn someone that they might be hacked soon. It's a defensive briefing. That's actually what it's called. And he decided when he was told, you are going to be attacked by Russian disinformation, he took a side. And it was the side of the disinformation. And he has declared them to be corrupt, saying that if anything was leaked from there, it was designed just to hurt him. All he had to do was say, thank you for the heads up. I'm gonna be careful about what I share, what I say and all that. And he couldn't even pass that bar. And again, he got laughed at, Ben.
Yeah, this is like in the first Terminator movie when the good dude who ends up impregnating Sarah Connor tries to help her escape from the mental institution and the Terminator's coming at them and he says, follow me down the hallway, get down, duck. And she's like, you telling me to duck is disgusting. And it is an attempt to besmirch my character. Oh, I've been shot by the Terminator. I mean, it's the most backwards way to see things, and is par for John Bronson's tiny little brain.
Yeah, it's like, look out behind you. Get off my back. I'm not turning.
I'm gonna fall for the classic move of you trying to protect me as a law enforcement organization from our adversaries. Yeah, I bet Russia's right behind me trying to whoops, and now he's in jail. Russian jail.
Yeah, we'll see if any of this gets through. I mean, Ron, you started off by saying that Ron Johnson is a piece of garbage, and that is true. And he's such a piece of garbage that at this point, I'm not sure how much extra utility there is in him demonstrating what a piece of garbage he is. I feel like people get that. And so I wanna show you the most recent polling, by the way, if we can jump ahead to graphic 4. I've seen polls where Barnes is within the margin of error, down by just a point or whatever, but the aggregate has Johnson up by 2.9. And that is, like, I get that most people are focusing a lot less on this race than like on Pennsylvania or on Georgia. I get it, we're focusing more on those other races. But Johnson is just so obviously bad, so obviously uninterested in any ethical obligations to his constituents or to, be a part of a functioning government. He believes and spreads conspiracy theories like crazy. It should not be that close, Ben.
Yeah, it's just insane. It just speaks more again to the political polarization in this country, where for some reason half of the country, look, I realize both sides are certainly polarized and both sides are not inclined to ever think anything positive about the other side or consider candidates from the other side. But I can't help but point out time and again that needs to change when one person is just so clear, one side is so clearly anti-American at the moment, when one side is just so clearly in it for their own selves and for lining their own pockets at the cost of everything decent and good. It shouldn't be just back in mid-September that they were even in the polls. It should be a runaway with goodness. I mean, there are so many people that have left the Republican Party saying this election needs to be blue all the way, regardless of what you believe on any individual issue, to send a message that there will be actual law and order, actual democracy, actual following of our norms. And instead, they'll just take the outlier, self-interested examples and say, well, Tulsi Gabbard left the Democrats. Okay, because she's been a Russian asset and a Republican in her soul for already years now, even when she was running for the Democratic nomination, basically. So let's hope people come to their senses in the privacy of the voting booth and not in front of their family during a dinner poll.
I mean, look, the Democrats put up bad candidates every cycle. That is true, and some of the worst ways that they're bad candidates is that they can be very blatantly corrupt. I mean, there's any number of Democratic candidates that are very, very corrupt. But in terms of just like being like viciously opposed to government existing, believing and spreading whatever conspiracy theory 4chan comes up with, there is not, as far as I know, a single Democrat that's anywhere like that even is on the scale. And there's hundreds of Republicans at every level. Like there isn't an equivalent.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.